Hey everybody, MS Farzan here, and today we're playing Griftlands. Griftlands is a roguelike deck building game with some role-playing story elements, developed and published by Clay Entertainment. It's kind of cyberpunk, dystopian, science fiction setting, and I gotta be honest, it's probably my favorite game in this type of genre. I love these types of games. I like roguelikes. I obviously like deck building and card games. And this game, Griftlands, just does it so well. And it's set in a cyberpunk setting, so it's basically targeted directly at me as a consumer. I'm going to show you some of the gameplay systems. Not going to go through the story mode, although there is the way the game works, which you'll probably be familiar with if you've played any of these types of games, is you'll do an enclosed run with a set deck of cards that you can then add to, and you can build up your character to have different abilities throughout, and there are some meta abilities that you can progress in so that each run becomes easier over time. Or what's really nice in Griftlands is that you could do the story difficulty, which will eliminate permadeath and will have a reduced difficulty, so you can experience the whole story in one go if you wanted to, and then you can unlock other characters with different abilities and different stories. You can also do daily challenges, so there's a lot of stuff to do, and what we're going to do is just do the brawl mode so we don't spoil any of the story stuff, and we'll just start with everything basic, starting out. And what's really cool is that not only does the game have the things that you'd expect from a deck builder, and also from a roguelike, in that you can put different cards into the mix that you might be able to draw from, or you can equip different equipment and inventory items that might help you in battle. It has two different core systems, in addition to like a world map where you can go and purchase items or talk to NPCs or what have you. And the two systems are a weapons battle system, like a actual combat system, and a diplomacy battle system, which handles when you're going to do any sort of like social engagement throughout the game. If you're trying to persuade someone or to intimidate them rather than fight them, you'll be able to encounter both of those things. And I tend to like the diplomacy system a bit better because it's newer and fresher than the battle system. But battle is still interesting, and you'll want to build your characters in a specific way so that you can be good at one or the other, or do a little of both, and you'll have opportunities throughout the story to decide what is the better situation for your character. Whether it is going into battle, or trying to persuade someone to not have a battle, or to persuade someone to get on your side to join a battle. Like, there's all these different permutations that can happen. So let's choose a negotiation graph. So the diplomacy is called negotiation, and I'm going to pick something that will help me in my negotiations. We're just going to use this one to gain 6 max resolve. We'll see what resolve does when we play the game. We'll choose a battle craft, gaining 1 combo at the beginning of turn. This game is really good at tooltips as well, demonstrating that combo points are accumulated until they are spent by a finisher. This character that I'm playing right now is kind of like a roguish type character that a lot of, if you go a specific direction with their decks, you might find that you're really leaning on combo finishers to do a lot of damage in combat. I tend to, at the very beginning, just go for the max health, because that's always going to be useful. And let's do our starting draft. So I get to pick one of these 3 battle cards, and your battle cards are going to be different from your negotiation cards. So this one is just a pretty simple, straightforward. It does 5 damage when you attack. It costs 1 action to play, and when you play it, you can discard a card. I kind of like this one better, which is it'll do 8 damage, and you discard a card, and it will attack a random enemy. So I'm going to accept that card. And then let's try. So improvisation is a feature that a lot of cards have, that you could spend a, let's say, 1 action cost card to improvise from a set of other cards. And so this card says if it was improvised, double its damage until the end of the turn. So that's pretty good, given that it's going to do 3 to 5 damage from the get-go. And then let's see our negotiation cards. We can just have one to pay 1 action to draw 3 cards, or some other features. We'll just go with the very simplest one at this point. And at any point, you could also decline and gain 10 shills, which is one of the currencies in the game. You have shills, which is, if you want to pay for, I think you will buy items like graphs and other things with that. There's metal, which is what you use for those meta permanent upgrades. And then resolve is your, for lack of a better term, your hit points for negotiation, and then your health is basically your hit points in battle. And let's do oh, this is a good one. Your next card costs your next card this turn costs 0 actions. Great if you have a high cost card, but you have to expend it. You'll remove it for the rest of this negotiation. If you ever played like Slay the Spire or Monster Train or any of those games, like, you'll be totally familiar with a lot of these different systems that just have different terminology. Okay. So ordinarily, these NPCs are ones that might come into play throughout the game, or you might be sent on a quest from one NPC to another. Because we're doing the brawl mode, we're not going to see so much of like the story elements in the game, but there are different aspects of being able to negotiate with different NPCs, or try and get them onto your side, or send things, spend shills to get something from them, or hire an NPC to work with you, or to buy a pet. And what's also cool is that throughout the game, the choices that you make will affect the NPC's dispositions towards you. So some of them will raise their prices, some of them will lower their prices, some of them will work with you or will work against you, and it does that very organically, and it's a really fun layer on top of the core systems. So this guy will, Endo will sell you negotiation cards. This character will allow you to remove or buy battle cards, and this person does graphs. We're just in the main, like, one of the main taverns, not looking at the city map at all. Okay, so let's start by killing some monsters, just a straight up battle mode. And we find the monsters. Now this, I feel like I need to caveat that we're just looking at the systems here. This demo of the game, it really doesn't do justice to just how fleshed out the world is, and how many NPCs there are, and how many converging storylines there are throughout the game. It's just very well done. Okay, so to battle, the things to pay attention to on screen are that I have 8 cards in my draw pile. I have 3 actions to spend. My health is 72. I am fighting a wild rock. You can right click it for more information about what it does. But like I said, they do a really good job with tooltips, so I can mouse over their damage, and it says that Wild Rock will panic after receiving 20 more damage. You can see that here, that this little white part of their health bar, when they get to the panic part of the white bar, you'll actually be able to allow them to surrender if you don't want to kill them, which could come into play with a quest. I'll also see that the different conditions that the Wild Rock may have, and if I mouse over this little icon, it'll show what the rock intends to do the next turn, which in this case will apply a status effect. These are the cards that I have in my hand. I could run away if I need to. A battle flourish is when you gain as it says, when you gain flourish by playing cards, dealing damage, so on and so forth. When that gets to 100%, you can play a battle flourish card, which is can do a lot of damage or help you. I could end the turn if I need to. If I have any active quests, I can look at them here, and then I can also at the top of the screen look at my relationships, and at the end of each day in Griftlands, you'll get kind of a digest of how many people you liked, how many people liked you, how many people disliked you. You might have befriended a merchant that will send you a random item every morning. A quest thing might happen during the nighttime, which is pretty cool. And then you can look at the cards in your decks. Okay, let's get to battle. So I have attacks and maneuvers. Attacks generally do damage, whereas maneuvers help you in a different way. So this is the improvise card that I mentioned before. We already have backstab in our hand, and we have some basic damage cards in our hands. This card, Feint, applies 4 defense. I'm not going to use that right now because the Vrock is not going to do direct damage. So let's improvise first and see what happens. So I've paid 1 action, and then for 0 actions I could gain 2 combos, but I don't have any cards that use combos, so I'm not really going to use that. Could apply 2 bleed, which will apply extra damage at the beginning of the Vrock's turn, or I could just draw 2 cards. I'm going to do the slash attack. So it didn't do much damage to it at all, but it will should apply bleed at the next turn, and it didn't for some reason. Let's see why. Oh, okay. So what I neglected to look at is that at the start of each turn, gain 1 evasion and reduce nimble by 1. So it's going to dodge any of my hits. So anything I do right now is actually not going to be so great. So doesn't really matter. At the beginning of the turn. Is that right? Yeah. Okay. So I do an elbow strike, and now I can do nothing else but end the turn. Okay, it howled, and let's see what that did for it. I think it just created a defense, and so now I see that the next turn it's going to do 4 damage to me. So I'm going to apply 4 defense before I do anything, and then I know it's going to evade my first attack. So I'm just going to use one of these stabs. And now that it's done that, I can play this Bedlam card. So discard a card, doesn't matter which one I discard at this point, and then it attacks the rock. Cool. And let's see, it's going to do 2 attacks, 3 damage each. So I'm going to apply 4 defense, and then I'm not really worried about the damage, so I'm going to attack it twice. Evasion is really annoying. Okay, it's going to do 2 attacks, 2 damage each, and now it no longer has the evade ability, so I'm going to destroy it. Just for fun, let's play Sal's Daggers, which will insert one of these cards into my hand, either deal 2 bonus damage if you have any combo, and I don't have any combo, so I'm probably not going to go with that. I'll apply 2 bleed, and now I've done enough damage that it's going to run away. Oftentimes, when you do a battle like that and you get them down to panic mode, you can just decide whether or not you want to execute them or to let them go away. And then, as you see here, I have restored 2 resolve. If I had any deficit in my resolve, I would have restored that. I get 1 medal, which has been added to my pile here, and then I can pick another battle card that will go in the mix. We'll use this to gain 1 power, which increases my attack damage. And I'm I'm too lazy to do all kinds of micromanaging with the decks that I build in these games, which I know is, you know, probably shooting myself in the foot. But you know, if you're going for a specific strategy, you will want to sometimes decline taking any cards and instead get some shills, or you'll want to see a vendor that'll remove cards for you, so you can really hone in on that strategy. Got paid money. This character pulls me aside. Let's see, what do we want to do? Remove a battle card. Let's draft 2 negotiation cards. Okay, let's get this 0 cost card, and we'll do a negotiation mission next. Okay. Oh, so this should be fun. This is a battle and negotiation quest. Maybe it's battle or negotiation. So I can either intimidate the character or I can attack them. And what's great about these, I'm telling you, the mouse overs are just, you know, so good. What's great is when I attempt to do this, it will give you a bunch of information about what's going to happen. For example, this is an intimidation attempt, and I've got 38 resolve. This other character has 23 resolve, and if I try to intimidate them, T will dislike me. So it you know, if I were thinking, they have, let's say they're selling something that I want, I may not want to do that. But I have no choice. T's going to dislike me anyway here. When I mouse over the attack T option, you'll see that it shows that they're a 2-star enemy, which will also summon a wild fleet, which is a 1-star enemy, and this will give me an idea about how difficult the battle will be. Sometimes you'll see that it's way more difficult to battle, to attack someone than to intimidate them, but maybe your character is not that very good at intimidation, or you're just low on resolve because you've been doing it all day, and those are good. That's a good signifier for, you know, what your success chances might be. So let's try intimidating. Okay, so it looks like this is going to be inserted into our hand. At the end of your turn, incept to intimidated. Incept, this effect is added to the opponent's arguments. Intimidated, hostility cards deal an additional +1 damage. Remove 1 stack. Okay, so let's see what all that means. Okay, so as you see here, what we have are 2 what are called core arguments. And they operate pretty much as the hit points, as I mentioned earlier, within a negotiation scenario. So this character T has 23, what do we call it? Resolve, which is like the hit points that for a negotiation, and I have 38. And I gain 1 composure at the start of my turn. Composure is the defending attribute, like instead of defense that we had in battle, composure is the analog. Then what we'll see throughout, and our the resolve is represented by our core argument. What we'll also see is that other arguments can be added to this circle, and you can either attack the person's core argument directly, or you can attack the arguments that are around them if those pose bigger of a threat to you at that time. I was talking about this with a friend of mine who likened it to Magic the Gathering and games, or Hearthstone games like that, whereas you're able to, rather than attacking rather than the default being your creatures attacking the other person's creatures and sometimes being able to attack the other planeswalker directly, this game has you by default attack the being able to attack the other character's core argument directly, and sometimes being able to attack their supplementary arguments, which we kind of liken to creatures. It's an interesting play on the genre. Okay, so a lot of information coming your way. So I know that it's I can see by the intent here, which will sometimes be hidden based on the character, that it's going to try and do 2 damage to my core argument the next turn. And I can also see when I hover over T's core argument that whenever I shuffle my deck, T gains impatience, which means that T's intents and arguments deploy with +1 damage. So what I'm first going to do is just apply composure. So now I have 4 composure. That'll block all the incoming damage. I don't need to use this deflection card. I would like to play this buying time card, which costs 0 actions, but I don't have any influence, and influence is a supplementary. As you can see on screen, influence is an argument with 2 resolve. It's a supplementary argument. So if I try to play this, I can't. It requires at least 2 influence. And then we drew these at the beginning of the turn. At the end of your turn, incept 2 intimidated, and so I can't actually play that. It's just something that's going to happen. So I kind of drew a crummy hand. I'm just going to apply another 3 composure and skip to see what happens at the end of this turn. Okay, so no damage was done to my core argument, but I did incept intimidated, which means again, hostility cards deal an additional +4 damage. Okay, and so I know one of its intents, but I don't know the other intent that is going to happen. And so what I'm going to do here is let's start by threatening this character, and so I can this is actually incepted by me, so I can't attack it, but I can attack their core argument for 5 to 8 damage, and then I can apply 3 composure, and let's see, I could also I'm not going to draw 3 cards because then I won't have any actions to do anything with them, but I could use Drain Resolve to have one of these arguments lose 2 resolve, and I'll gain 2 resolve. That's great. And there we go. Okay, so another argument. Escalation. When hostility card is played, increase stacks by 1 and gain 2 resolve. Adds +2 damage to all intents. So I'm going to knock this one out so it doesn't affect me. And so I'll spend, I see that it has 4 resolve, so I'm a little bit overshooting here with 5 to 8 damage. But the rest of it went to its core argument. And I'm going to use this to add one of these cards to my hand. I can either gain influence, which we need for some of my cards, or I can gain dominance, which we looked at before. Hostility cards deal an extra 1 damage. So let's add influence. It does 2 damage, and then I gain the influence from it. And then all diplomacy cards deal maximum damage, so now I'm going to do max damage here. Great. Great, okay. So now I still have influence. Do I have any cards that will benefit from influence? It doesn't look like. Well, let's play an improvise card. Oh, what's bait? Let's do it. Okay. So see here, I could attack this argument or their core argument, but if I deploy bait, what it does is it makes certain that as you can see, it must be targeted before anything else. And it gains 2 resolve for each stack of bait. There's only 1 stack right now, but that means that the damage that it was intending to do to my core argument this turn, or if they wanted to attack my influence, they have to attack my bait first, which is great. And let's do fast talk and threaten. enough to take them out. One more turn. Okay, so they took the bait. And then I'm going to draw 3 cards to see if I have enough to destroy them, and I do. Influence is the best. So you can see that the next turn they had intended to destroy my influence. And I don't have any cards that benefit from the influence, but the influence, and directly, but indirectly, the influence is maxing out my damage, which is super useful. And that's it. Get 1 medal from that. Pick a negotiation card. Here we go. I could spend 1 influence and draw 2 cards. Let's get that card. Great. So, and then the brawl just continues this way. And if I have enough shills, I could, let's say, I could hire Effie to work with me on the next job. Hire Koff for the next job, or share a drink with them. Hire Kenga. Let's share a drink with Kenga. So I gain 2 resolve, and I also have to gain cards Tipsy, which is just it jumps into your hand, and that means that you'll have to play it to like it'll be in your hand at some point, and you'll have to pay 1 action to get rid of it. Or slurred speech, which is basically the same. Or you could just, if you go to sleep at the end of the day. Oh, 2 cost cards. Yeah, so, and then here we start to see, so I could hire Kenga for my next job, which is, they'll help me with my next battle or whatever. My relationship with Kenga will improve in that they'll give me a 25% discount, or I could just give them 200 shills, and then I will get a haggle badge, which I can then negotiate for greater quest rewards. Let's see. I could eat one of Fish's famous fish cakes, which will give me a bloated card that I have to pay 2 to get rid of, but it also heal me 30 hit points, and so it's really this brawl mode is really representative of like everything the game has, totally compressed in this tiny environment. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to abandon this run and show you a bit more about some of the other stuff. So I want to see if I can show you a little bit without spoiling too much of the story, which makes me think I shouldn't show you the compendium, which might give you some spoilers. One, there's a daily challenge, and this is really fun if you just want to drop in and play a little bit of the game and not have to do too much of the story. But there will be different mutators, what they call it, that are affecting you, or you could play on easy mode or medium for higher amount of points, or hard for a higher amount of points, and you just, in this one, it's just a boss rush. You just have to beat a bunch of bosses, so that's a fun like daily challenge. And then pay no attention to these other characters, which you have to unlock through playing the game. We'll do a little bit of the just show you the overall scope of the non-story mode. So just like a normal run, you'd start, and maybe we'll start at level 1 and not do the beginner introduction part, which will tutorialize the game for you. You'll encounter a bunch of these little vignettes as you play the game. Character surprising, suspiciously looks like a Wookiee. So the this story is very much, again, as we'll see in just a second, about this character going up against a mob boss named Casio. So let's see. Let's add a negotiation graph slot. There are some neat interactions if you're interested in the story to kind of listen, follow along with the world of the game and learn more about the culture and the different groups. Again, you can mouse over the Admiralty to know about the different factions and the different nations in the game, which is set in a continent named Havaria. And you'll want to spend some time to learn about this stuff because it's really cool and it's very cyberpunk dystopia. The world reminds me a little bit of the same in the Thief games. It has that about it. Maybe a little bit kind of like on the Dishonored side of things, but it's very gritty but vibrant at the same time. Biofuel harvested from the ocean floor, monopolized by the cult of Hesh. Okay, so let's get work from Fish. They've got people in their pocket who owe them a favor. Urga, Minfin, and Ash. Easy people to find. Okay, so here's the world map. And so we'll see the Groggendog is where we just were. We could go to this quest, which is of a 1-star difficulty, and you get a pretty obvious digest of what you'll gain from doing the quest. We could instead do this other quest, or the traveling sales grifter. So these are the three. I think the 3 people that they mentioned to us. Let's just jump back in the Groggendog, see if we can talk to this person. Yeah, so we haven't really done anything to interact with them before, so they don't really have anything for us. We could also go to our room. And this is where you'll sleep every night. Let's see, I've unlocked a few different... That's cool. I love how cyberpunk this game is. Okay, back to work. So this will be, you can also see this will be a negotiation quest versus a battle and negotiation versus a battle and negotiation quest. So let's just go straight up for the battle and negotiation quest. And there's been a random encounter. So you can conspicuously by the side of the road, you notice an old shrine. It doesn't look Hessian. Could make an offering to remove a card, meditate to upgrade a card. So let's upgrade this composure card. And usually you get 2 different options unless there's something limiting you to do that. Either apply 4 composure to all friendly arguments, but you have to expend it, or restore 5 and apply restore 5 resolve and apply 5 composure, but you have to remove it permanently from the run. So let's do the other one. Play it safe. Okay, we're gonna keep going to the. Let's go to the battle negotiation quest. That's a long time. So accept the quest. Choose a card to help gain combo equal to the damage dealt by this card. That's great. Okay, so let's see what this guy has to say. Nothing. Okay, so can I'm gonna go to find Bax for speaking with Vis. And so, just resting here. No big deal. And here's exactly where we see where if I had enough shills, I could, which I don't, I could just bribe him. I could convince him, and I have 32 resolve versus his 23 resolve, pretty good. Or I could just beat him up, and this would also be easy. But importantly, this will dislike me if I beat him up, which makes sense. Whereas if I just try and convince him, that won't be an issue. So I'm going to go with this instead, in case we need him down the line. Nothing special here. So he's going to do 4 damage to me based on his intent and do something else that I don't know. So first thing I'm going to do is apply composure. And then I'll improvise a card. And we'll use bait again. And then I'll threaten this core argument. And my turn. And so he deployed Suspicion. Diplomacy cards deal -2 damage, which sucks. With a minimum of 1 damage. Reduce Suspicion by 1 at the beginning of Vis's turn. So I need to get rid of that as soon as possible. And so this is a good point here where these purple cards are manipulation cards versus diplomacy cards, which are green, and then the red cards are hostility. So I'm going to try playing hostility against this. And see if that luck of the draw is great. The dice roll is great. I'm going to add inspiration to my hand to gain influence. Sorry, I'm going to play inspiration from my hand to gain 2 influence. And now my diplomacy card is max damage. And I'm just going to eat the damage in the face. Let's think about this first. I just want to do damage all the time. So he's going to try and do damage to my influence. I'm going to apply 3 composure to that. And then I will work against his core argument. What's this? Bone Tired. When destroyed, this loses 9 resolve, which is awesome. So let's just do that. And if I get a good roll, should be able to take him out. Yep. And that's that. Pick a negotiation card. Attack for each action available. Let's do that. Earn metal. Great, so convinced him to tell me where Bax is. Sometimes on your way to stuff, time-based quests will jump up like you have to do it right then and there. So again, I can convince Bax, or I can attack, and either one will be difficult, but let's just attack just to do something different. Let's see. Okay. I've been told to keep this target alive. Good to know. And then he gains 5 power, which increases damage when he's below 27 health. Okay. So first he's going to do a bunch of damage, so let me just ride that out. And I'll do elbow strike for 3 damage and a stab for 2 to 5. Okay. And let's use this to insert. Don't have any combos, so we'll insert Saber Grip into my hand. He's going to do a status effect, so I'm just going to keep attacking. Should have negotiated with him. It's usually the way. The hell did he just do? He revved up. Attacks that apply 1 bleed, then and then reduce it. Okay. So he has six stacks of that. It's not great. Let's improvise, and I see that I have a card with combo. So let's see if I can get a combo card. No, I can't. So that doesn't do me much good right now. So they do a whole bunch of damage. And add a card to my deck, which is going to hurt. Okay. So let me try and defend a little bit. And then elbow strike, and then yeah, we'll live a little. Go with stab over elbow strike. See what the dice tell us. Ah, not too bad. Okay, hopefully I can take him out this turn. Okay, so now he's gone to panic mode. So I have a card in my hand which says I'll execute him, or I can just accept the surrender. And so if I've been told, like it says here, that we want the target to be alive, so if I want to draw the ire of whoever hired me, I'd probably just kill him. So I'll accept his surrender. Got resolve, metal, and they get to pick a battle card. Great. Good. You know, I can't say that I blame Bax. I did him wrong by beating the hell out of him. So what can you say? Okay, we'll return to Ash. I don't want to get in the middle of all this, people. I'm just doing a job. Nice. I got pay, got metal. Oh, now they're beating him up. My bad. So, yeah, as you see here, there's a limited time opportunity to do one of these quests and get a reward. Can also go for other quests, and then over time other areas will open up where you could spend metal, or you could spend your shills to get different graphs or different cards or remove cards or whatever, and that's how you're going to handle the overland map. And so like I said before, if you're doing this with just a run, all the hit points you have are all you have. So you know, and your cards might be different every time, and your approach might be different. The NPCs you might come into contact with might be different stories and so on, and different relationships, so on and so forth. Or you could just play the story mode, which is what I did when I first played this game, and just play through the entire story without having to worry about doing it all within one run. I cannot overemphasize how well done the game is. If you like deck builders, roguelikes, or roguelike deck builders with role-playing elements, if you like cyberpunk games, it's got like a really nice story, a very cohesive world. The game itself, in terms of the design and the implementation of the different systems, is spectacular. I said it before, and I do mean that the diplomacy system, or negotiation is what it's called, is a bit more interesting take for me than the battle system, but they're both really fun and really well attuned to the fiction of the world, and just interesting takes on the genre. And Griftlands is well worth your time and investment to check out. So do please check it out, and I hope you've liked this video introduction to Griftlands. If you have, please be sure to like it and subscribe to my channel for more. You can also head to nightpathpub.com to learn more about my books and games, and we'll see you soon.